not ignore this huge issue of masks, this huge issue of the political response to the variant. A lot of people saying the government acting very quickly on this. Boris Johnson said actually at the press conference yesterday, I watched it, he said that he had only heard of this new variant on Thursday. Within 48 hours, a lot of new restrictions. I wonder what you make of it, and whether you think that's a good idea, whether you think that's good politics, for example, or whether he's simply acting in the national interest.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to have to disappoint a lot of your viewers and your listeners, because I unfortunately agree for once with the government's action. Unfortunately, I don't think it's come quick enough. The problem for me is that Wales, Scotland have continued this. We've gone back to it inevitably anyway, and there was scientific figures, people in the scientific community who said we were going to have to do this inevitably anyway if further strains came out, which they have. And of course, we've ended up back in the same position. So, we're going to be wearing masks on a mandatory basis in public transport and shops, just the same as the rest of the UK now. So I can't understand why it was stopped in the first place. I'm perfectly happy wearing a mask myself, become very used to it now. It's not a great inconvenience. I do understand those viewers and listeners who say that their glasses steam up. There's obviously, in that debate between the two doctors that you had earlier, which I think it was Dr. Peter English was on there, he said that it's not a huge inconvenience to many people. There are that minority of people who struggle with face coverings, whether it's autism, whether it's various different PTSD or mental health conditions that prevent people, and that's totally understandable. So that there should be that exemption in those cases. But I really don't see the fuss, to be honest. I'm perfectly happy to wear my mask and will continue to do so.
You don't have sympathy with people who say it's an infringement of their liberty, that they're told to do this, and many people who think that the face masks aren't worth it, in terms of the fact that the scientific evidence is perhaps not there to say that it certainly doesn't 100% stop you from either catching it or passing it on, even if you're double or triple vaccinated.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big issue for me, is that there's mask wearing and there's mask wearing, because the majority of mask wearing that I see in the supermarket isn't proper mask wearing. You've got people going around with a mask on their chin.
Yes, the people, I've got a mask here, James. I think you can see me, and the people who drive me completely up the wall, I'm going to put this on, who drive me completely up the wall are the nose peepers, the people who put it sort of under their nose, and you sort of think, or alternatively like this. It's just like, what's the point? What's the point?
I know,
you either have it on or you don't.
It was South Park. It was on the South Park show where, we've got it bang on when they call them chin diapers. This kind of, people walking around with these masks just on their chin, expecting that to somehow tick the box. You've either got to do it properly or not. And I think we're seeing variations in masks now. Balaclavas, just people basically with, things that would tie their hair up, whatever, just over their mouth.
Over the mouth, yeah. It's a bit weird. How does Keir Starmer respond to this? Does he just simply sit back and let it happen? Does he oppose in any way? It seems that a lot of the opposition, especially if we move into further restrictions, will come from the right of the Conservative Party. People like Mark Harper, Steve Baker, people like that, I would imagine, on the coronavirus recovery group and those sort of research groups and so on. I mean, will Labour have a role in this, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult line for Labour to walk. It's a difficult one for Keir Starmer to walk, but you've got to basically demonstrate exactly what's happened from the beginning of this. I mean, we're a long way into the pandemic now, and it feels like a long time ago to talk about the beginning of it, how it was handled at the start. But everything that we're facing now is a knock-on effect of what the government's done to date. And there are those people, you'll speak to who say, oh, well, it could have happened to anyone. Everyone would have been in the same boat. But I think it's becoming increasingly clear that the response was so lackluster from Boris Johnson and not taken seriously enough in the start that, that's why Britain is where it is in the world right now. And whilst we've got the rest of Europe... Do you think he's
moved so quickly on this to avoid criticism of what he did before, James?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is out of fear because of what happened the last time, not necessarily looking at it and saying, is it right to do? Is it right to do it now? And people will always have those, very common sense criticisms of like, if this is so urgent, why have you introduced it for next week? Why is it not immediate?
Yeah, why don't we have to wear a face mask right now? Why is it on Tuesday? Yeah, I find this kind of lag kind of interesting as well. James, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much, James. Stay warm, stay out of Storm Arwen, and protect your home, but more importantly, James, your beard.